All right, let's have a quick recap. Intraday again. Looking at the S&P, well, looking across the markets, we're basically sideways. The S&P has touched its ascending support, which is now resistance. So, after a bit of a down move like this, back to sort of support or just below support, you can expect a little sideways, little move up, failure, come back, and then flush down. So I'm not too surprised by today. I didn't expect a red day actually after what we've just sort of had. I expect a little kind of sideways test. Basically, what we're getting today. Now, this is intraday, but I don't expect anything really special to happen between now and close. So we've got 3 hours left, just below. I expect basically the same. Might even close a little lower. I'm looking at the daily chart, so you can't tell too much about the intraday action since we're in the middle of the day. In the middle of the price range. Nasdaq, same thing, went back up a little bit, kind of tested previous support acting as resistance, was sort of sideways, doji style, nothing special. Dow Jones, same thing, nothing special. Now that's been outperforming for a while, so I would have expected that to be a little weaker than the others because it's got a long way down to go. Seeing as I think it's going to go down. Russell 2000, which was probably the weakest yesterday. That one just a little stronger today, but basically nothing special, nothing happening. Sideways action, perfect for a continuation move down. You can't just go down like that in one line. You got to have little bumps back up, little retest, just healthy sort of reverse action. The VIX is up. Nothing too spectacular, but I think that really has to go to 26. Yeah, to 26 essentially, and that would equate to other markets going down. Let's look at the yields. Yields are down across the board. The 1 year also down. So, it's hit its head multiple times here around 4.8. And, the more often it doesn't break it, the more often it wants to, the more likely it is to go down. And basically, we're looking to test this neckline as long as the rest of the yields go lower. I mean, the 1 year is a bit special. That's really more likely to just keep going up. The 2 year also, although that's kind of quite soft, right? You can see this descending line that I drew recently. It does look like it's coming into play, this descending line. Every time it sort of gets close, it's coming back down. Support is previous support around 4.2. But I expect if the rest of the yield curve keeps coming down, I expect even the 2 year to come down. The 1 year, maybe a little bit more, but I really think it's going to hold this area because the immediate future should be higher rates. The 2 year, I expect it to come down here, but really not come much lower. However, as soon as we go beyond the 2 year, the 5 year, yeah, I expect it to keep going lower. You can see this target here. I think we get there. The 10 year, now that's the one I think between the 5 and the 30, I think everything will be based on where the 10 year goes. So I'm using that as the general metric. I think we go down to ascending support. And this is pretty decent ascending support, although it's not perfectly drawn. But you can cut some slack because this is kind of choppy. But essentially around this area, yeah, it has to touch this. Yeah, okay. So around this area, I expect support for the 10 year. I do actually think we'll get there and then we'll reverse. I've said that before. I just think that, yeah, the 30 year, this was support, is breaking it because I'm sorry, but if the rest of the yield curve is going down, you're not just gonna have the 30 just stop. So it has to follow. So if the 10 year is going to keep going a little lower, well, quite a bit lower, right? How much of a percentage move lower is that? All right, let's say 7% lower. You can expect this the 30 year to do basically the same thing, which will probably take it to around, I think it may even go to 3.1. So around there, I should even add some, let's just say around there. If the 10 year keeps going lower. So yeah, that's the yield curve lower, although much lower on the, when we're further out. The immediate future, this one's going to be pretty erratic. It can still just turn around and go all the way up to new highs. The 2 year will be dragged up with the 1 year, but as soon as you go further out. Okay, don't repeat myself. That will do for yields. Let's look at the dollar. Things are getting interesting. The dollar, I've said this also, we had a nice move, but this descending line is going to become more and more important the longer this whole move plays out. It's acting a bit like yields, right? Yields are down, dollars down. We've had a nice move. Remember, this was the support zone, the sort of 105 area. We hit it, and then we flush it. Now we've returned to the scene of the crime. And I said that I expected to go a bit lower, but maybe not to new lows. So this little drop here, I do expect us to basically go sideways, maybe a little down, but break out of this and go up. Just like yields a little lower, not too much breakout. Although the longer end of the yield curve could go a bit lower, a bit more than I think, down 7% more. So just to recap, sideways down for the market, sideways down for yield, sideways down for the dollar. And then we break upwards on the dollar and yields as the market continues to go down. With yields and dollar appreciation hurting the markets even more. Let's look at gold and silver. This is a bit special today, seeing as all the markets are sideways down, nothing special. With the dollar down, you can see gold and silver are up strong. So okay, let's start with gold. So we came back down. We sort of went below previous resistance, right? You could say this was resistance around 1780. As usual, you overdo the move on both sides. We went below 1780, 1770, nothing too crazy. And now we're reversing decently with the dollar going down, with yields going down. That kind of makes sense. So pretty strong day. Will we go back here and hit new highs? I don't know. I actually don't know. Let's put it this way. If we do break out to new highs, I don't think we're going to get all the way up here. I think this move is kind of exhausted. So we may get close to test it and then come down. That's what I think. So I nibbled a little bit off Fortuna Silver today. That's the only selling that I did in gold and silver related stocks. But let's just say, I don't think that we'll get here, although we're only 1 or 2 days away. But if we do, I don't expect this move to be explosive. And if we do start to break out, I'm not selling this. I'm only selling once we get to 1740 or higher. Silver, same kind of thing. Pretty strong today. 2.5% is pretty notable. We went all the way back down to resistance, but you can see we found, support where resistance was, but immediately, it didn't overshoot. So silver very strong, very strong. And this move can be done in one day. Very good day. I don't expect us to go all the way up here, but if we do, my God, that is serious resistance. Serious resistance. I mean, do you really think silver will get there and never go below this point? If we get there, of course it will. It's not just going to go there sideways up again. I mean, that would be unbelievable, literally. So that's the whole recap of the market. I will quickly just focus on Bitcoin very quickly, which I haven't done in a while, because it was outperforming the markets for a while, although kind of just flagging around here, flagging just underneath 17,000, just above 17,000, just going sideways whilst the market was coming down. So Bitcoin was outperforming the markets, this move off the lows, off the FTX collapse and all that stuff. But today it came down. It finally flushed this area and it hit support perfectly. I think quite a few people saw this too. So off this 15,500-ish zone of support, let's just get rid of me there. So, and this was, I don't want to call it double bottom because it was like a triple bottom, let's say. Once we flush, we hit this ascending support. So far, so good on the support. What I think is going to happen, I think we'll go back up, test where we've come from, and lose ascending support with the markets going down. So just to keep an eye on Bitcoin, since it's just picked up a bit of momentum after outperforming. So that's it. I'll keep it very short. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll do one tomorrow intraday also.